Hello, my name is Susan Evans. I'm from Hong Kong Polytechnic University, Hong Kong. Today I'm going to talk about co-creating with design across urban-rural food systems with the intention transformed towards sustainability. To get started, what I'd like to do is I'm going to give a brief overview of this intervention. This study reflects on 6 years of experimentation between peri-urban farmers and urban citizens. It takes place in the city of Shanghai, China, and focused on localized food and agricultural systems. It's place-based intervention at a farmer's market and involves experimentation with co-created design interventions, combines the technical environmental changes with societal behaviors and mindsets, with intention to build relationships, accelerate transformation towards restorative and regenerative practices for more sustainable societies. At the core of this research is the relationship between humanity and the natural environment. We can say that the relationship between cities and countryside, the mix of peri-urban and rural. And we can also say, we can consider this as the socio-economic models that depend on the natural environment. And what has become extremely clear is that our dependency on the natural environment, humanity's ways of doing and being, require radical change to avoid devastation, such that new relationships are required to restore and regenerate our relationship with the natural environment. To address these issues, this paper presentation explores the food and agricultural system, which requires radical change, where 50% of all land is now agricultural, such that producers of our food become the stewards of our future. And in this way, food has become the nexus of societal, economic, and natural environmental considerations. This system has witnessed a rise of alternative local food production, referred to as post-productivism, as represented by localized food systems, where citizens search out quality food constructed from concerns for human health, food safety, and a move away from industrialized and globalized food systems. They search out provenance. Producers, on the other hand, their emphasis is on small and peri-urban production, localized food systems, and environmentally responsible production methods. At this same time, in parallel, there is a rise in alternative places for consumption, such as the farmer's market. This has been termed as a form of alterity or otherness, as Cohen refers to it, a different space for consumption. This depends on social relations as a condition to trade, a space to grow relationships and maximize benefits of buying food in situ, where for citizens, they're able to learn about the food and connect on a personal level, access to fresh food and provenance, and producers ideally capture a greater proportion of the sales value. With this change happening at various levels, this research is guided by 3 questions. 1, what is the current situation? How might the situation be improved between producers and citizens? And what are the outcomes of a co-created design intervention? I will take the rest of this presentation and paper to discuss the research. The approach, a reflective transformative design approach with combined values. This is important because this is both to improve the natural environment and the well-being of people and society, with a vision to transform towards sustainability. It's conducted in a collaborative manner with co-creation and cooperation among local producers practicing more sustainable methods in context, real world, at a farmer's market. Duration is over 6 years of exploration, learning and iteration. Paper draws from 10 farmers' markets over this period. A mix of producers, 2 established organic producers, and all other local small peri-urban producers with emergent practices and customers. The context is in Shanghai, China. In the recent past, farming has been left to the elderly as the young people have moved to the cities. But more recently, there's been a move back to the countryside where young people aim to practice responsible agriculture with new economies and customers with different values. At the same time, the originality of the farmers' market in the city is based on organic and responsible agriculture. It has activities to support and differentiate a mindset shift, which is important. It supports planting, different activities such as planting, cooking, baking, eating, an aesthetic and environment. It has collaborations to strengthen this transformation, to reinforce emerging normative and salient behaviours, which have been proven to be extremely important for transformations. So that takes me to the situation. And in this situation, the focus is going to be on the relationship at the farmers' market between the emerging small producers and the urban citizens, where the citizens are experiencing new behaviours to visit farmers' market. They're dissatisfied with food safety and have health concerns. Their focus is on quality food, provenance, growing methods, the ambience and the relationships. Where on the other hand, the small emerging producers explore methods to reduce environmental impacts, and their focus is on production. There are the established organic producers. They know their customers and they know how to market their produce. So in this case, the 2 groups that are of focus for this work are the citizens and the small emerging producers. And what we found is that there's a mismatch between the urban citizens and the emerging peri-urban small producers. We found that there are 5 mismatches. The first is the focus on the change, like one side on production methods and the other side on food quality. So, well, what does this mean? How does this translate? It translates into an issue with language to describe the change. On the one side, there is the technical sort of language, and on the other side, there is the societal. In addition, there is the aesthetic. On the one side, there is the production side, and on the other side, there is a desire for presentation, which is different from the production side. Further, there is access to relevant information. The farmers' market actually presents an opportunity to provide relevant information. And then there is also a further gap with the type and the form of the information. What should this actually take? Because the information is not present at the moment. These mismatches presented an effect between the 2 groups. And what that did was it slowed down the relationship building and the exchange of information between the 2 groups, further slowed down the process for citizens to learn about the local producers and their produce and methods of production. This presented also further barriers for the producers as it reduced the producer abilities to build customers. And by doing this, a lack of customer support slowed down the transformation to alternative production systems. And this affects, therefore, the overall transformation, which can actually benefit the environment and local citizens. So what did we do? There were multiple things. Here I focus on the producer story. The format is presented on the left-hand side of the slide. We translated citizen want to know into a producer story. This includes the location, the products, the growing methodology, the environmental responsibility, and the social and the sustainable. It addresses the question of provenance by providing different perspectives on the actual producer. A format, the language, and the relevant content is found desirable to the urban citizens and could be responded to and discussed by the producer, as this was co-created with the producer, with the knowledge of the citizens. So bridging this gap with language that can be understood and responded to by the producer and posited by the citizens. In addition, as you can see on the right-hand side, we addressed the presentation of the produce, because this is also sort of like an issue for citizens and presents a further barrier. So we helped with the tables here in terms of the presentation of the produce, such that that was inviting and desirable, and so therefore sort of like that didn't pose a barrier to further communications. And as with sort of like the expectations of the farmers market, the activities, the ambience, the collaborators, the cafe, the restaurant, we paid attention to ensure that we had this support system in place to provide the appropriate ambience and relationships. I take here an example then of using the producer story, and I use the biofarm, one of Shanghai's leading organic producers and contributor to changing the ways of being and doing in Shanghai, the biofarm. I use this example as it provides a spectrum of deliverables that are desirable to urban citizens and provides a solid base to understand the values of the producer. Importantly, at this time, what we can see are sort of the types of fertilization, pesticide, and GMO use were extremely important to the citizens, urban citizens at this time. And this was a sort of a base for starting a conversation. Along with this, a sort of with water sources, because there have been issues with water, and question on filtering method, although at this time, sort of like most farmers were still using the river source and testing this from time to time. I think importantly here, at the bottom right-hand side where it says other on the producer story, we can see that sort of like biofarm is integrated into society in other ways, through its contribution to education in schools, support for other urban and biofarms, for example. And so in this way, it's part of the system, part of the development system beyond its production service. So what did we find? We found that the producer stories were successful. Overall, they provided an entry point for conversation between the two groups. And they did this in various ways. First of all, access to relevant information, which melds the technical, localized, and circular changes to the farm production with the desires and the behaviors of the urban citizens. Also, it enables the citizens and the producers to build knowledge, as it conveys through the design intervention and is then ameliorated through conversation among the two groups, which has been facilitated by the story. Blended new vision increases the likelihood to influence societal behavior and increase successful transformation to more sustainable societies, as it helps to support this transformation through commerce, in fact, and understanding and education. So clarifies and informs decision-making, such that sort of like with this conversation, decisions can be made to move forward on both sides. It also increases confidence among both groups and therefore helps to grow human capabilities as recognized by confidence and community building. So in conclusion, we found that changes in technical, natural, environmental systems, which tend to take place in the peri-urban and the rural, require integrated societal characteristics to improve success and accelerate changes towards circular, localized, restorative, and regenerative systems. And in doing this, we've circled here the system of change, which demonstrates that there is this relationship between cities, peri-urban and rural, which can also be recognized as the socio-economic models that rely on the natural environment. And it is these relationships that we need to now foster, restore and regenerate for more sustainable society. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Susan Evans. If you'd like to contact me, my contact information is there, susanevans@connect.polyu.hk. Thank you very much for your time.